The National Cutting Horse Association presents Behind the Minds, a series by the Converse Cowboy, featuring James Payne. Brought to you in part by Performance Horse Central and these fine sponsors.
The NCHA has been an important part of my life and my husband's life and my children's life, and it helps teach children so many advantages in life. They learn how to work, they learn how to work together, the friendship, the satisfaction, the focus. You know, my boys have become very good businessmen, know how to work with other people. We work together as a family, and that's important to us.
There seems to be a consistent theme with anybody that I talk to in the cutting horse industry. James Payne is the hardest working person in the cutting horse business. So where does the work ethic, that grind mentality come from?
From a kid with my parents, my dad, and then going to work for Dick and Brenda Pieper, that it just kind of continued there. You know, it's just that mentality of that if they improved 1% a day, you'd have them trained in 100 days. You've got to do 5 days a week, 6 days a week from the beginning on. It's not just like we're 90 days out of the futurity, I'm gonna like start working them 7 days a week now, you know.
So we're in October. I'm curious to know, what are some things that you're doing right now to get these horses prepared for the futurity?
Well, normally I'm going to try to space every show like 2 to 3 weeks in between every big show. We did things a little bit different here because they swapped the Pacific Coast Futurity with the Bash. I did not hit anything big in September, so I hit the Pacific Coast and then hit the Bash, and then I always hit the Southern, and that's usually my last show before the Futurity. Everything's kind of right, stacked up right in a row and everything like that. So I spent 30 days in September at home, so I was able to camp on them there. I went to the Bash and I had them there for half the show. I like working them in a practice pen. Some people like just flagging them there if the practice pen's a little suspect, but I like kind of beating them up a little bit in the practice pen and then coming home and smoothing it up. So they had just gotten back from the Bash on Sunday. I'd worked them about 6 days in a row on the practice pen. They needed kind of a little time to chill. The practice pen at the Southern's not just real good, but there again, I want to kind of let them chill, and then I'm going to work them the practice pen at the Southern, and then I'm going to have several pre-works between now and the Futurity to kind of have a little more positive works, hopefully.
You've ridden some of the best show horses to ever enter the cutting pen. Once in a Blue Boon, PG Heavily Armed, Summertime Fun, just to name a few. How do these horses that you're going to be bringing to Fort Worth compare to those when they were 3?
I think that the one thing that makes a person get up every day of the next year is hoping that the one they've got this year is better than the ones they've had in the past. I would like to think that 1 or 2 of them are as good as them, but a lot of times you're wrong. But I think every year you're hoping that you're saying, hey, I think they're better. And sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. You don't really fully trust anything until you show it a little bit and you see what you've got. Like them 3, they're all different. I have one that I like for sure, kind of stands out to me, just the intelligence and the smarts and stuff like that, but at the same time she's real hot, you know, like in a hotter horse is a little more unpredictable. They're finicky to how they get ready, how you work them. I would like to think that I know them pretty well, but it's just gonna be based on adjustments from now on.
Not long ago, you broke over the $4 million mark in lifetime earnings up in Vegas. You win the Pacific Coast Futurity on Tell Us You Spicy. You also make the finals on Spice Perfection. You win the West Texas Futurity riding Bar Nothing Dancer. So I feel like you got the 3-year-old thing figured out this year. Like, what is it that you're focusing on with these 3-year-olds that you may not have done in the past?
I don't think it's anything different. I think it's about how far the individual horses let you go. Like, you know, I think there's some years that the horses don't let you go as far as you want to go, and some years you do. It seems like, you know, where I'd be kind of one where I'd wish I'd have 1 good horse every year. Sometimes you have like 3 good horses in a year, and then you go 2 years and you don't have much, you just have horses. What I feel like is the difference between this year on them small futurity horses is the others is they just matured early. They just want to be show horses. They want to plug in. That's what I'm hoping I got for the big futurity. Anytime that I've ever done good at the big futurity or the small futurities, I've had them ready to show 30 to 60 days before the show, and then you're just maintaining, letting them decompress, build them back up, decompress in that last 30 to 60 days. And small futurity horses, they've just been real easy, real like kind of a pleasure to train and show and maintain.
What is the best compliment that you can get from a peer or mentor, another horse trainer, about one of the horses that you've trained?
The fact that somebody wants to buy it and ride it. You're trying to create this engine that basically produces quality horses, and so you're wanting your quality horses to win and your quality horses to sell. And what you're wanting is you're wanting your peers to like say, hey, what do you have to sell? Because that basically means that they wouldn't mind following behind you. And so I would say that would be the biggest compliment, is whether or not you're getting asked all the time if you've got something for sale. It's just because they know that the quality of the product will be good.
What is James Payne's expectations of an open level futurity horse that you're going to take to Fort Worth?
What do I want from a big futurity horse? The same thing everybody else does, is something that wins. I want the horse that will let me manipulate, but at certain times when it's right, take it away from me and cut and plug in and cow. What's a common theme of the futurity champion? One that can run and go stop and kind of listen and let the rider get him out of a jam, but at the same time, whenever the cow's standing still or whatever, they plug back in and brighten up and, you know, mark that extra point. I mean, that's what I'm wanting. I feel like the futurity is a lot of luck, a lot of that horse just stepping up and kind of like taking it away just a little bit and rising to the occasion. And so what do I want? I want a horse that fits me, but that's not scared to take it away from me. And I've had that with a variety of horses, just not as a 3-year-old. They did that kind of in their 5-year-old, 6-year-old year, you know, like Once Blue Boon, PGA, you know, like those 3 horses that you mentioned. They eventually, at various times, took it away and said, okay, I got this. But there again, I have never had that happen as a 3-year-old. It's always been as a aged event horse.
So you've been doing this cutting thing for a long time. You show up in 2001 for your first Open Futurity with $4 million in lifetime earnings, 5 Open Futurity finalists, and you've won over $300,000 just from the Futurities alone. What is the secret to a successful run at the NCHA Futurity?
The biggest deal is the judging is always a little looser in the first go, so you want to go mark your best and biggest score that you can the first go. You want to try to mark your 18 or 19 the first go. They tighten down in the second go, and basically other elements like weather / cattle suppliers, whatever, but it gets harder to mark your big score in your second go, in my mind. So I want to mark my 18, 19 in the first go, come back, then I'm kind of shooting for that 72, that 16, that second go. That way, if I get a bad draw, if I get a bad bunch of cattle, whatever. What do I want to do in the first go? I want to be really aggressive. I want to like march up through there, throw my hand down real quick. I want to work my cows a little longer than what everybody else is going to do. So even if I have an average horse, they're still going to mark me my score, because like I showed a lot of courage on when everybody's theoretically scared. And then whenever you get to the semis, basically that ends up being horsepower. A little bit of luck in the semis, you know, like a good draw, you know, a good position in the deal. But I mean, if you have a legit horse in the semis that stands out, they're gonna like forgive a little bit here and there because they want to see you in the finals. They're marking what they want to see.
And then you get to the finals, what is that?
I've never won the Futurity, so I don't really know. I mean, like the highest I've done is 7th or 8th. I mean, there again, I'm kind of more of them ones that I want the biggest check possible. I think if you try to force a win, you're gonna end up last in the finals. And if you're last in the finals, typically that's around like 17 to 20,000. So there's a big difference between 17,000 and 250. So I think I just want to execute, and then if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like the one run that stands out in my mind, the second time I made the Futurity Finals, Lloyd Cox won it on one-time royalty, and the stuff that happened in that run, things fell into place. Time stood still, and then that horse just got brilliant. And I mean, I know there's numerous Futurity runs that are good, but that stands out in my mind just because things happen. If it's meant to be that you're gonna win, you're gonna win. If, otherwise, you might as well get a big check and not try to push it, because 50, 60, 70,000 is a lot better than 17.
So there's two other trainers in this Behind the Minds series, Matt Gaines and Tatum Rice. And so what does Matt, in your opinion, bring to the table as a competitor going into the Futurity?
Talent and experience level. Like the first year that I would have had a Futurity horse, I think he had a little Pepto Gal and a Zach T. Wood mare. I was in awe of his ability. I mean, like, he was the man. He can win more on a lesser caliber horse than a lot of people can on more horse. I feel like he's evolved to the spot where his horses are really efficient. You gotta mark him. And Tatum, his style is very, very unique to me. He's got a lot of stuff that I would like to implement into my deal. I haven't figured out how. His horses are very, very tight on a cow. You can put more pressure on them and they get tighter. And I like that blend, and I like to figure out how to blend his tightness with kind of like a little bit of my stop, and I think it'd be cool. So, I mean, when you see either guy go down there, you're pretty well just kind of assuming that they're gonna mark a 19 or 20.
I want to know, how bad does James Payne want to win the Futurity this year?
To me, the way I put enough pressure on myself where I like to down talk things, even though there's a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, I like basically downplay it to where it's like, okay, well, it's just another cutting. If you do bad, I mean, you've done bad before, it's fine, go on, and you downplay it. Do I want to win it? Yes, but like a common thing that I always tell myself is if God told me that I could either win the Futurity once and never make the Futurity Finals, or I could make the Futurity Finals 20 more times and never win the Futurity, I'd probably pick make the Futurity Finals 20 more times. I'd rather be that trainer that like Lloyd Cox that won $10 million at the end of his career, as opposed to the guy that's won $1 million and won the Futurity.